Hi guys, welcome back to the Sliding Scale podcast. And today we have with us our first official guest of the Sliding Scale podcast. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Siddhant Kashyap. Siddhant and I actually met through him and his efforts. He reached out to me as part of a storytelling project that he was going through called Humans of Medicare. And he was nice enough to find me and interview me for for this purpose. And ever since then, all of the stuff that he has been doing has been nothing short of inspiring. And so I thought starting off this series of interviews, there couldn't really be a better person to start them off. And so, welcome, Siddhant, to the Sliding Scale podcast. So, before we start the interview, I'd like for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you've been up to.
Yeah. Uh, Hi guys, I am Siddhant Kashyap. I'm currently a third MBBS student and a passionate storyteller. This is my opening line, and I'm going to stick to this. I am basically from Bombay. I'm currently studying MBBS in Pondicherry. I feel that I'm a person with the creative side, and I have been working with marketing and around it for like past 3 years now, helping brands, influencers, content creators, Instagram pages build their communities online, build sustainable communities online. And the journey has been pretty great. But then I was like, I wanted to give back to the community I belong to, the community that I am going to be part of for a very long part of my entire lifetime. And being a medical student, being a doctor, I feel that I was obliged to do this. And that's when the idea of Humans of Medicare was stuck with me. And I just took a leap of faith, some passion for storytelling, and with a purpose. Today, we have 15,000 followers and we are growing exponentially. So, yeah, that's journey of Humans of Medicare. But we'll be seeing more detail about it throughout this podcast with Narendra sir. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that you have come together to embody medicine and marketing, which are, I think, two skills that typically don't go well together. Doctors are terrible at marketing themselves and at being able to sell the skills that they bring to the table. And I think a lot of people end up underselling themselves and, feeling that they're not really worth the degree that they have studied for and feeling super unfulfilled in life. And this skill of both telling good stories and also being able to market your talents is something that's super important and something that we should all aim to learn and get better at. So, Siddhant, would you like to shed a little bit light on the things that you've been working on apart from Humans of Medic?
So, I have this marketing agency called as Supervisor, and it started in the month of October 2020. After my NEET exams, I was, waiting for counseling, and it was taking pretty long time. And I was like, what's happening now? Let's go back to the actual world from the sabbatical that I took because of my NEET exams. And when I went, I saw that there is no one outside. There is no one playing outside. There are no dramas happening around. There is no stand-up comedy shows. Nothing was happening. No offline events. And I was like, "Kaha ja rahe hai ye log? Where is everything happening?" And that was the internet. So I started understanding why people are being on the internet, and I figured it out that building communities on the internet is going to be the future. And that's why I started approaching content creators, selling them the idea of the importance of building a community online. And I pretty well remember that I was rejected 10, like almost 10 out of 10 creator I approached, they rejected this idea. Like, what is this shit? But if you see today, Instagram has started a broadcast channel which is nothing less than a community. Every content creator is trying to create an engagement in their broadcast community, trying to create engagement in their WhatsApp community. So 3 years back, this was nothing, but today, every creator, every marketing agency, every influencer is running behind to create sustainable communities, because communities grow, they are there, but then eventually they perish. Managing and growing a sustainable community is what USP I had. And like after working with couple of content creators and influencers, I got some big gigs, and then I was working with Pocket Aces, which also owns Filter Copy, uh, then Dice Media and Nutshell. So I was helping them build a non-fiction community on Discord for Nutshell India, which was a 6 month stint. Then I again worked with Prime Video to a marketing agency called WLDT, and we were trying to build their community on Reddit for 4 months, specifically for there was a web series that was launched around that time. And it was a difficult task to build that community in India, considering the amount of Reddit users that India has a share of. So we did a pretty great job there as well. We had an engagement rate of around 8, whereas the normal engagement rate for any community in India is around 3.5 to 4.8%. So we were almost giving up. And then somehow this, as I started, now I'm in my third prof. So first, second prof went in this. And I was like, yaar, I need to do something in medicine. I am going to be here, as I said, for a very long time. I need to make connections. I need to connect with people in my field. And I was like, I wanted to start a podcast like this, similar, but I didn't have the resources. I my college is on the outskirts of Pondicherry, so traveling is going to be a big issue. Internet is a big issue. So yeah, I was like, I have to do with the minimum amount of resources that are available, and I have to do it big. A little self belief and an idea which was initially seemed impossible, but yeah, little self belief, purpose, and passion is taking us where we are today. Here at Sliding Scale Podcast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad to have you here. So, I think the it segues nicely into the next question about like how in our country we frown upon things that are not academic. Like, if just a normal person went to their parents who was doing MBBS and said, "Ki, I want to start a marketing agency." It's not going to fly in most homes. So, as someone who has branched out, how do you feel about this? Do you think it's something that everybody can do, or do you think that people need to have a niche set of skills that will allow them to branch out?
There are two aspects to this. The first aspect is that you must have a passion for whatever you want to do. So even if your parents say, no, no, you should have those guts to go against the thing, and you should do it. Initially, when I told my parents, they were pretty angry at me, and I was told to shut everything down and just focus on my career. But then a year later, when I told them that this is something that is actually paying me, they were like, okay, it is okay, do it. As long as you don't, miss on your studies and focus on manage both, is what they said.
Yeah.
So convincing them was a big deal. Also, coming from Bombay to Pondicherry, it was a very cultural shock. Everything was quite difficult for me to manage.
Yeah.
It was quite a depressing period, I'll be honest. I wanted to drop out of medicine as well. But there was something that, stopped me. And what happened is that I was stuck. But then this creative side in me, which was not called marketing back then, helped me through my rough patch. This creative side has taken me to where I am today. The second aspect is believing that you can do it and you can achieve it, but also not being delusional about it. Having a goal is good. Having a dream is good. But as long as you are working for it day in and day out, it is going to manifest into a reality. Because I remember I used to be in postings, be in hospital the entire day. Evenings I used to study, but during the nights I used to work with my team, try to figure out and solve problems on the internet communities, and manage stuff. So yeah, I mean balancing both, and also not forgetting about you know what your primary goal is, what you are supposed to do. I feel that skills is secondary. Having the leap of taking the leap of faith and having belief in yourself that you can do it is primary. I didn't know shit about marketing back in 2020. I didn't like. I just knew the word existed, but I have learned about marketing over the period of time, working with people, collaborating has been my learning journey. I have read self-help books regarding marketing strategies, business development, entrepreneurship. But maximum I have learned is when I spoke to my clients, when I spoke to my team members. So there is this line in Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 book where he says that you don't need to know everything. You just need to know people who know stuff, and you need to know how to work with them, and you can sort things off. So yeah, I feel that that is more of a primary aspect, and skills come secondary. Although if you're getting into something like this, you should be able to speak to people without being afraid or without having second thoughts. If you want to be a graphic designer, how to use Canva. So these are the basic stuffs that you can just Google it, YouTube it, and learn it. But apart from that, everything is a learning journey.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, you need to have the guts to stand up to the people that are not really supportive and say, "नहीं, मेरे को करना है तो मेरे को करना है," and just sort of dive into it head first. And again, finding the balance can definitely be hard in our field, but it's not impossible. Definitely, it's challenging, especially if you end up going in for PG training or residency. Finding that balance can be difficult. But I think if you're passionate about it, it's something that you really need to just put the time in and see what comes out of it. Of course, nobody can go in knowing that it's going to be a success or a failure. But I feel like there is a lot of doctors that I've met live with a regret, ki, like I could have done this or I had this brilliant idea, but I never had the balls to get it off the ground and try it and see if it's going to work or not. So yeah, I think that's a really good takeaway for all of this.
Yeah, I have 3 examples to share about what you said. First is when I spoke to an intern currently working in one of the hospitals in Mumbai, and I was like, "What are your plans?" He's also he also has a startup. So he's like, "I'm going to do an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Hopefully, I'll be giving a cat." I asked why MBA. He's like, when you get into residency, all you think is about the next day, the patients that you're going to see the next day, the rounds that you're going to see the next day, uh, the patient who you have admitted today, his reports the next day, the if you're in surgical department, at the dressing. So it's all about the next day. It's all about the couple of days. The long term thinking is hampered during residency. So doctors don't think for a very longer period of time. Don't think that longer shot. And this is what I learned from our conversation. It's like, as an entrepreneur, as an MBA, we always think about 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15, 20 years down the line. So I feel this is something that is happening in our residency. Second thing is, if even if you are in residency and even if you are passionate about something, there are few doctors who I know who have left lakhs of rupees, like they are professors, and they were asked to, teach on a particular weekend, but they had their particular cricket match or their particular drama on that particular weekend. So they said no. And when they said no, they set an example that, you know, you can be passionate about something that you love, and you can boast about it, but in a right way. And the third example, I'll share it for ahead as we go.
Yeah, I think both of those are excellent examples because there are so many people who don't set those boundaries and don't draw those borders and say, okay, this is where my professional life ends and this is where my personal life starts and things that I'm passionate about. And there is nothing that anybody can do to push my personal and professional lives together. And I think that's a very important sort of distinction to draw early on in your career because as you get older and older, that becomes more and more difficult to do unless you learn to do it now. So I think now that you have given me these two examples, this again nicely segues into my next question. And it's something that I have heard you say a lot, and I've heard you put it up on your stories that your network is your network. And I think I know, I mean, I have always believed that, but obviously I've not been able to articulate it in such a nice way. But how has this mantra sort of changed the way that you have approached people or your education or even your extracurricular activities? How has this, changed your outlook on life?
Yeah. So your network is something that is not new. It has been said before as well by a lot of people. And when you try to understand it at a deeper level, there is a much, bigger meaning to it than what it actually sounds. For example, I'm speaking to so many doctors, interviewing them. Uh, they will always remember that Siddhant and Humans of Medicare shared our story. So, 5, 6 years down the line, I'm going to start as a consultant and I am looking for opportunities at different hospitals. And one of these guys, a senior consultant, has an opportunity for me. He's definitely going to think about me. You know, Even if he's going to refer to a friend, he's going to speak good about me. So, this is something that I have thought for a long term. Speaking about short term, I have connected with individuals and medicos uh, who have given me opportunities. A recent one I'll share with you. In the month of October, one of our followers at Humans of Medicare, one of our followers who follows Humans of Medicare, so we connected when we hardly had some 900 followers. And that person was like, "You're doing such a great job." And then we connected on my personal and stuff ahead. But this person eventually told me that I have some great skills, and if I would like to be part of an organization where I could collaborate with other medicos and probably learn from them as well. Please let me know. And I was like, yeah, sure. Never say no to an opportunity. And I was getting this opportunity to be a national officer at one of the medical organizations in India, but due to personal reasons, I had to say no. But uh, you know, giving that interview made me realize on certain things. So yeah, being a national officer at a particular organization is a big thing. It's very sad and unfortunate that I couldn't work with them, but at least getting that opportunity is, I feel that not every medico gets it. This is one of the things. Then I have collaborated with so many other medical students during I was the public relations head of our annual conference, and during that I have met so many individuals, medicos across the state of Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, who have helped me with public relations, not just in Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, but across the country. So yeah, and we also I recently thought, let's share whatever study resources I have with others who are in third prof. And we created a small group on Instagram, and I started sharing. There were people who started sharing. So my network started growing. But people started sharing, mind maps of PSN, which I didn't even knew existed. So when you connect with people, you come across new learnings and new thought processes. And those thought processes help you reflect on your thought process, and that's where you grow, you learn. There is this saying which is very popular that a smart person learns from others' mistakes. But if you listen to others and you just take some knowledge from them, you become smarter eventually. Is what I have learned. So it's just not the mistakes, but it is all the aspects of.
I think something that's so underrated is the ability to go up to a stranger and have a conversation with them and find some thread of commonality with them and be able to work with them or at least learn from whatever work they're doing. Especially things like, talking to people on an airplane or talking to people on the train. I feel like now we're so used to just being isolated in our own little worlds that we've built for ourselves, which are comfortable. We rarely take the time to go out of our way and, meet new people and gain new perspectives, which I think in the long run is what teaches you more about life than just the textbook learning that we're so forced to go about.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic how many connections you have made in the short span of time because I've
you know,
watched
I have
Sidhant.
something to add here. The other day, I'm pretty afraid that I know there is going to be a day where my college professors come to know about the stuff I'm doing on the internet, and what will happen there. And but I'm still like, okay, let's see. When that day comes, we'll see. And the other day, one of our senior professors in pathology came to know about the very same thing, and he asked me that, how are you connecting with such big professors and everyone else? The leap of faith, I cold emailed them, and what is the chance of them replying and not replying? It's 50-50. So it happens, it's yes, no. But if you say, I am still, hesitant to speak to a lot of people IRL, I am quite selfish about it. Like, I feel that everyone needs to be selfish. If I don't have a particular motive or something, it is, without that, it is pretty difficult to go out and speak to strangers. And that's something that I'm working on. That is a negative aspect because I have always been telling on a platform that if I'm sharing my positive aspect, I'm also going to share my negative aspects. So you just don't get the brighter side. The grass is not green on this side as well.
No, I agree with you. It's not easy, Siddhant. I 100% agree with you. Especially going to like conferences and introducing yourself and just hoping that you'll be able to make connections is not something that everybody can do. I've seen some people do it. And I have been in this field for 10 years and I've started to do it only now. I'm bad at it, but I've only started to do it now. But I think for outcome or like the thing that you gain from it is something invaluable. Even if you get rejected, even if you go out and make an effort and you don't get anything from that interaction, I think just the ability to put yourself out there is something that people definitely need to love. I don't know. So coming to another aspect of Humans of Medicare is in all of the people that you have interviewed, what what do you think that what was the lesson that you learned from Humans of Medicare about like just not just medicine but about life in general? What was the like something common for all of the people that you've spoken to, or something that you felt like connected you to the people that you spoke to? What was the thing that you felt like the most touching or common thing that you felt with Humans of Medicare?
I'll be pretty honest. Initially, when I started Humans of Medicare, I had only one vision that I'll be initially doing stories of doctors who are doing something different with medicine.
Okay.
So, I was like, this is what I want to focus on. So, if a doctor is part of a dramatic society at a particular place, if a doctor is an actor, if a doctor is involved in NFT communities on the internet, these are the kind of stories I want to tell because a doctor is not just a person comes, treat patients, and go. He has another aspect where he starts and follows his passion. And he is doing justice to medicine, he's doing justice to his patients, and then he's also doing justice to his own passion and his own. life. So this is something I wanted to tell the people to break the stereotypes in medicine. And from all these people, I have learned that, it's not always 50-50. It's going to be 80-20. It's going to be 40-60. It is going to be 20-80. So, yeah, there will be ups and downs in life, but having a very strong faith in what you're doing and why you're doing it is very important to know the what and whys of your mission. If your mission is something that is has a higher purpose, people are going to join your journey and they are going to make it more beautiful. So if you know your what, why, people are going to connect with you. You're going to be, going to attract people with that energy that you radiate.
Yeah, I think that energy is super important. Though I think if you have a good want and a fantastic why, it's always easy to maintain that energy even on the days that you're tired. I think you must be familiar with this author called Simon Sinek, and he has this very famous TED talk about how you should start with why and then sort of go up and build from there to what and then how. But we usually do it the other way around. We start with the what and then go to the how, and finally we think about the why. And I think it's important for us to recognize that starting with the why is important. And like you said, if you have the why, it's easy to keep that energy going. So in this
Uh,
process,
uh,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt. Sorry to
please,
interrupt.
please.
So the Humans of Medicare journey, as we are speaking about it, on I think on 21st of February or 22nd of February, our exams ended, second of exams, and in my apartment, I have stuck white papers on one part of the wall, and where I write my ideas. And I just wrote Humans of Medicare and I put a circle around it. I kept thinking and then I wrote what, why, when, how, everything. On 20th February, my uh, part of the wall was filled with all the what, why, how, all the answers were there. And when the answers were there, I was like, let's start it. We are not going to take a particular date or something. We are starting it from 1st of March. We'll put something, but we'll put it. The 1st of March, we uploaded our first story. It was about the firsts in medicine and it just shared 3 stories in the caption. But I made sure that I knew my why because, there are people who are going to join my journey, if not now, sometime later. There are doctors who are going to be part of my mission, if not now, sometime later. But it will be easier to convince, the first 10 people, first 15 people, first 20 people. But how am I going to convince the 50th person? So if my mission statement and why is very picture perfect and clear to me, I'm going to be able to tell them why I want them to be part of my journey. If that is clear, it is going to be easier for them to be part of my journey. So this has been my thought process and my thinking about everything that was Humans of Medicare.
That's awesome. That's a very profound way to think about it. That if you are clear and you are very articulate about your why, then it's easy for you to get other people to see your why and come and join you on the journey. Because like today, there's nothing for you to gain from having been on this podcast. We were able to come together and not see it as a numbers game, but just see it as, two people sitting down, having a conversation about things that they find important, which is storytelling and being able to, put out a face of doctors that not a lot of people get to see is what is why we are here. That's our why. But I think that is something that people really tend to omit and not give a lot of importance to. So in this journey that you've had since Feb, What was the most, touching or heartwarming moment for you as a founder of this Humans of Medicare? I'm sure there have been a lot, but if you have to pick one.
So, always people saying yes to share their story, especially doctors who have so many questions. But when I asked them, they were very immediately they said yes. Okay, yeah, we can share. And we were like hardly 300 followers, 400 followers.
See,
But somewhere they believed in us. And the moment when one of our reels went viral, so there were quite couple of reels that we thought, oh, this reel will touch a million, this reel will touch 500K at least. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Again, I'm telling the negative aspects. So we were, uh, not we, I was pretty sad that it didn't happen. And there was this one reel which was going viral, right? Anything. People started copying it as in downloading it and sharing it on their Instagram page and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is something different. This is not something that is happening quite often. It does not happen quite often. And yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I have done something. So instead of celebrating that at the moment, I went and figured out why did it happen. And when I figured that why did it happen, I got a new aspect to storytelling. The kind of story I told via that particular reel, I got a complete new aspect. Oh, if I do this, I will be uploading more of viral content. So the next reel is also going to be viral. And then I went and any reel that is going to happen from now on is going to be a viral reel. I didn't celebrate that this reel went viral, but I was celebrating that next all reels that I'm going to create is and are going to be viral.
That you figured it out.
Which hopefully, yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. And I think everybody has that aha moment कि भाई हाँ समझ में आ गया कि क्या करना है अगली बार. So I think that's awesome. I'm so happy that it wasn't some like sad story of like, oh, this came and said this to me, and so I was so happy and I went and celebrated. This is so true to the narrative that you're trying to put out about like to learn something about myself in the process. This was my journey, and every step of the way, whether it was good or bad, and whether we had happy moments or sad moments, we always found a way to learn from those moments. And the learning is what needs to be celebrated, not the event itself, whether it's good or bad. That's awesome, Siddhant. That's awesome. Okay, so the
People
next
like to
question.
hear stories like
Yeah.
So I was saying that people like to hear stories like fat to slim, zero to hero, and but that's not exactly what that they want to hear. They want to hear somewhere between the lines, and
Yeah.
when you read that between the lines, you understand what they want, and when you cater them exactly same things, it is going to give you output. So be it storytelling, be it building a product, building it a service-based business, or treating your patients with a customized, to their health. Future is going to be all about customized medicine.
Correct.
Yeah. So understanding what your customer, patient, everything wants should be a primary aspect during our learning journey, which makes everything better for us and for others.
Yeah, I think that one size fits all mindset is not something that is going to work anymore. Like you said, we need to put in a little effort in the beginning to be able to customize the service that you are giving. Whatever it may be, like you said, it could be as a doctor, I need to customize my care to patients, and as a marketing person, you need to customize your care for your clients. Because at one point, irrespective of what they want. But now it's, I think, flipped. Now the service providers need to individualize the care that they provide. Otherwise, people tend to get left in the dust. So out of all of these people that you have spoken to, was there any one person that stood out to you or was super inspirational, or you felt that you know you wish you had spoken to them earlier, or you wish you could have learned from them a bit earlier? Was there anybody like that really stood out to you? I know it's a little controversial, but
It is controversial and it is as well as a very difficult task to choose.
Yeah.
Every individual had something to share, and I had something to learn from them. Yesterday, I did 3 interviews, which was the maximum during an entire time, like no maximum 1 interview per day. Everyone had something to share with me, something that I had to learn. There can't be a one particular interview or a person uh, who I feel that, I should. It has been a learning journey, so not a particular person or someone. I
Okay.
can't
Accepted.
say
Accepted.
like I can't
Accept. But
just.
if you had to pick one piece of advice that you have gotten throughout, your number of interviews that you've done so far, um, what was the one piece of advice that kept you going on the good days and the bad days?
So there are two, but I'll try to put it in one. One is definitely knowing how to, follow what your passion is. If be it teaching, be it, particular thing, anything. But while doing that, there are going to be highs and lows. So having a strong self-belief makes you face any kind of problems. Recently, in an interview, MS Dhoni as well said that if I had to choose between a talented person and a confident person, I would definitely choose a confident person, because a confident person can face any battles they have. And for confidence, you require a strong self-belief. A strong self-belief comes with passion and a purpose. So everything is interconnected, I would say. And but so to summarize, strong self-belief will lead you to success. And success is by following your passion.
Yeah, I think that's something that all of us should probably get a tattoo of somewhere, or at least make a poster and put it up on the wall. But so far we've been talking about humans of Medicare, and I want to touch base a little bit on MBBS and MBBS students now. And I think one of the biggest problems that MBBS students are facing these days is the level of uncertainty that's there. Uh, and as a student and as an entrepreneur, how have you managed this, or do you feel like there is something that people can do to handle this better?
Well, I have uncertainty in my everyday life. Right now, I was speaking 5 minutes or 20, half an hour ago with my friend about how I just came back from home and I wanted to go back home because of certain reasons that I had. So there is a lot of uncertainty that even I face in my day-to-day life. Every medical student faces, because medicine is something that is updating every day, and keeping up with the standards is quite difficult. So there comes the self-doubt, there comes the underconfidence, and entire thing starts falling. I remember our first conversation where I was interviewing you, and after that, I just felt like sharing. I don't know how it happened, but I was like, I'm sir very uncertain about what's going to happen. And you calmed me down, and that was quite helpful. I was recently reading this book by Gaur Gopal Das, and there he had a nice picture of how do you face uncertainties. If you have the answer to uncertainty, yes, then just solve that problem. If it is a no and you can't do anything about it, don't do anything about it. You put it in such a simple words. I know it's
Right.
difficult to, digest those simple words, but again, having that belief in yourself or something higher power, be it called God, your parents, your mentor, anyone that you strongly believe in, I feel that talking to those people is going to help you, and also having belief in yourself and the work that you're doing is going to help. I have a lot of uncertainty about my preparation for my prelims pre-profs, but I am trying to figure it out. I am trying to, find every day I'm studying. I'm trying to study. But yeah, everyone has their shares of ups and downs, and everyone is dealing with it. Uh, I'm pretty sad that some of them are not able to, and it's quite difficult for them. But if I find anyone, I try to help them as much as possible. So I feel that if you find someone, anyone who's watching this, just go and help, because you never know when you would be on the other side of the story and you would be facing same thing. But there are always people who are going to help. So why don't you just go and help someone who's in need? It's again a collaboration thing.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head with this one, because I feel like the reason that most people are so worried about uncertainty, and the reason that it bothers them so much, is because we have this need to control everything around us. We have this incessant need to be like the leader or in control of every little aspect of our life. And at some point in time, we just have to accept there are some things that you cannot control, no matter how much you try, no matter how much you worry about it. Some things are just going to be out of control. And like like that illustration in that book that you were talking about. If you don't know what to do about it, then don't worry about it, because nothing you can do is going to change that. And yeah, and I think if you are able to see somebody else in trouble and offer them help, you may not even be able to help them, but at least showing them that you're there to help them if they need the help is, I think it goes a long way. It goes a long way. And yeah, I think that's a fantastic way to go about it. So the last question that I have for you, Siddhant, is if you had to leave with one piece of advice to the people that are now listening, which is admittedly not a lot, but what is it that you would want to leave with? What is the takeaway that you want to leave?
I have repeated the same thing most of the times during this entire conversation. Having a strong self belief is what you need to do anything in life. My mother always tells me that if I was not in medicine, if I was doing something else in life, I would have, you know, done well. I would have survived. Why? Because I believe in what I'm doing. I have that confidence in going and doing things. So you could have confidence in something else, but having a belief in what you can do is something that is going to push you forward as well as going to help you exponentially grow. So these are the things that, you know, someone might have confidence but they don't have self belief. Someone might have belief but they don't know how to do it. So I feel like this is after a lot of introspection. So during our first week of MBBS in first year, there was a professor. He's my mentor as well, Dr. Amol Dongre. Uh, he taught us about reflecting on hard things. Be it reflecting about your patients, be it reflecting about you know, your different aspects in life is very important. So when you reflect, you try to understand yourself better and you gain confidence, you gain self belief. So this is something that is needed for every person to understand about how do you reflect well about yourself. How do you reflect well about the things in life, the good as well as the bad? So, you know,
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a good takeaway to have, is that we need to learn to reflect on the good and the bad. A lot of times we end up focusing on the good stuff and we neglect the bad, which is what needs more attention and more work from our side. But we have this tendency to sweep all of that stuff under the rug, and just talk about the good stuff or tout the good stuff. And I think, yeah, when you're talking about it, it feels good, but I think it's not something that you really learn from, because you've already done it and you've done a good job. So that's great. But if you want to learn, you need to be able to reflect on the bad stuff and do it in a way that's honest to you and to the work that you're doing. So yeah, Siddhant, this was an awesome conversation. Thank you for taking your time, even though you're sick.
thank you for giving us the platform to share our story in
Oh, no.
Humans of Medicare story.
Yeah, it's something that I always look up to. I'll tell you this without any shame, but on the days, like, I'm a medicine consultant now and I manage an ICU in Chennai, and there are days when I feel like कि क्या क्या कर रहे हैं life में, like what are we doing? We're doctors, but like what are we doing in life? What's the larger picture in life? And going to Humans of Medicare page and like seeing all the stories and seeing all the things that people have done, starting from humble beginnings, when the limits that people have reached simply by putting in the work and being consistent and being true to themselves is always something that, helps me put one foot in front of the other, even on the bad days. So I think, and I know some level, even bringing this podcast around and changing the tone of the podcast was really inspired by the work that you have done and, sort of set the base for. And so
I have a small story to share where we actually impacted her life. So there is this doctor who was a oncology resident in Tata Hospital, Banaras, and being an oncology resident, you see death every day, death quite often. It's depressing. And this doctor, when we were very 4,000, 5,000 people following us, and like hardly 10, 15 stories. And this doctor was like, I was feeling very quite depressing, giving up on life and everything. But I went through your stories, and what I took away from the stories is that if these people could, then even I can. And that's what keeping her alive. And that was like a big moment for the entire team. So this is the story that we always wanted to tell. Be it saving lives, impacting lives is what we are going to do. We are not for profit, and we will keep telling stories until and unless we can.
That's awesome. And we'd be looking forward to those stories.
Thank you.
But yeah, thanks again, Siddhant. Yeah, yeah. So we'll see you sometime soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Bye.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Wish you the same.